everyone, I'm Monica and today I'm going to be making my March wrap-up. So this is John. He's very white. Say hi. 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 He doesn't love me very much. I don't think so. I love him though. So the first book that I read in March was Wayward Son by Rowell. This is the second book in the Simon Snow series. I read the first one a while ago and I loved it. And I bought it recently in English and I reread it last month and I loved it again. I just love those characters with all of my heart. They mean so much to me. They are so precious. Oh, I love Carry On with all of my heart. So the second one, I was a little bit skeptical going into it because the reviews were not great. But I ended up really liking it. I gave it like 4.5 out of 5, I believe. I think I loved it so much because I went into it with low expectations. Carry On is very happy and cheerful and funny, and I wasn't expecting that from the second book because it's different. Simon's been through a lot. I wasn't expecting it to be the same. So I knew going into it that it was going to be a little bit more serious, and I loved it. I really loved it. I think it makes the characters grow a little bit to the reader. I think it's the right way to go with a sequel. I don't love the plot, but it's very fast-paced, I believe, for me at least, and it has a lot of character growth, so overall I think it's a very good sequel. We all know that Carry On could have been a standalone, so for a sequel to a book that finished off so neatly, I think it's a very good one. This one though finished off in a cliffhanger, so I need the third one right now. The next book I read was The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. This one I ended up giving 3 out of 5 stars. The thing is, Holocaust stories are something that I love, and I get so emotionally attached to the people that actually lived there. I think it was supposed to be a true story, but written as a novel instead of a non-fiction. I don't think she made the character, this person, it's a real person, justice. The pacing was very weird. Like, something important would happen and then a lot of little random things would happen and then something important would happen. That makes sense in a non-fiction. You're telling your story, something big is going to happen now, but it's normal that a lot of other small things are going to happen in the middle. It's fine for a non-fiction, but for a novel, I don't think the pacing was great. So overall, I don't think this made Lil's story justice. I think it deserved more. The writing is okay, it's good, actually, it's fine, but it's like the pacing and the storytelling that really bugged me. It could have been so much more. A companion to this one is out now. It's called Silke's Journey, I believe, and it's about another person that appears in this book. It's very hard for me to call it a character because it's a real person. And I'm very curious because there's like a chapter of that book in here and I read it and I was so curious about her story and what happened. But overall, I don't want to be disappointed again, so let me know what you guys think. Should I buy the other one and read it? This one really fell flat for me, unfortunately. The other book that I picked up, I just picked it up on a whim. I was like, oh, why not? I'll read this now. And that is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sáenz. Normally it takes me like a week to finish a book. This one I read in 2 days and I just wanted to reread it the moment I stopped reading it. It's so good. Oh my god. This has one of the best writings I have ever read. This is probably one of the first books that I heard about here on BookTube. I heard about it from the Clockwork Reader. She was just raving about it and I put it on my wish list and I got it last year. And it was just getting dust on my bookshelves, and why? This is so perfect. So this follows Dante, a boy that doesn't have many friends or at all, and basically one day he makes a new friend. He meets Aristotle and he also doesn't have much friends, so they just hang out all the time and they form this connection. I thought it was basically just a love story, but it's not. I think it's mainly a friendship story, and it's so beautiful. This book meant a lot to me. I'm in love with these characters, I'm in love with this writing. I just want to read it again, and in case you haven't figured it out already, I give it 5 out of 5 stars. It's one of my favorites now. I love it so much. On another note, the next book I read was An Abundance of Katherines by John Green, and this one I ended up giving 2 out of 5 stars, which is saying something because I very rarely give a book less than 3 stars. I just normally don't dislike a book that much. This one, oh boy. So this follows a teenager named Colin. He's about 16 or 17 years old, and basically he's been dumped by 19 Katherines so far. And he was a child prodigy, and it feels like at 17 or 16 or whatever, he hasn't accomplished anything yet. It's ridiculous. Because he's so down and he's feeling so blue, his friend is like, oh, why don't we go on a road trip? Because road trips make everything better, everyone knows that. And he's like, okay, Mom, Dad, can I go on a road trip? And they're like, okay. How is that good parenting? The parents in this book are some of the worst parents I've read about ever. I hated them with a passion. Basically, throughout this time that he's on this road trip, he meets like this family, this mother and daughter, and they stay at their house and blah blah blah. And he's basically trying to develop a thing called the theorem of underlying Katherine predictability, which is probably the most ridiculous thing I've read about. So I've had a lot of math on my years at college and at school, and for me it was boring. For people that don't understand math and don't care, I can't even imagine. I just didn't think the book made sense whatsoever. I didn't see a plot forming, it was just some random things happening here and there. I hated the characters, I couldn't care less about them either, any one of them. I didn't like it. I don't recommend. If you want to get to John Green's books, I've read Turtles All the Way Down. It's great. Read that one. This one, I don't recommend. I'm very sorry. The next book that I read was Illuminae by Amie Kaufman and J. Kristoff. This book has been on my TBR shelf for 3 years now. What am I doing with my life? This was amazing. I fell in love with the story, the way that it's told, the way this is told with text messages and files. Oh, it's so great. I thought it was going to be hard to get into because you're not exactly being told the story. It's a little bit different, but I didn't. I understood the story so well. It was so well done. Basically, you follow the survivors of an attack that is made to this planet called Karenza 4th, I believe. And you follow this girl called Katie Grant as she is trying to understand what is happening aboard these spaceships, because she's convinced they're being lied to and something is happening. She's basically a hacker and she can hack into the systems, and basically these files are all the things that she managed to see. I don't know, I feel like I don't want to tell you more because it's so great, and one of the major plot points happens just at the beginning, so I think you should go into it not knowing much, in my opinion. I didn't know anything about it when I went into it, anything at all, and I loved it. It is so good. I can't recommend this enough. I'm currently waiting for Gemini to arrive so I can binge it. I love it so much. I totally recommend, and I'm definitely going to reread this again, probably soon. And the last book that I read was actually in ebook/audiobook form, and that was The Princess Saves Herself in This One by Amanda Lovelace. So I was awake randomly at 5 a.m. today, we're on the last day of the month, and I was just searching through script, I don't know, script probably, and I found this one, this poetry collection, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. So I just clicked on it, I read it via like ebook on script, and then because it was so short, I finished it like so quickly. I listened to the audiobook right away after I finished reading the ebook. You follow like a storyline, which I didn't know. I thought it was just like a bunch of poems put together in a poetry collection, but it's not. There's actually a storyline, and I didn't know that, and I think I'm not going to be able to tell you what this is about and who we're following, because I think because it's so short, it's going to spoil everything. So if you have Scribd, just check it out. It's very fast. You get to it in like an hour or something, and I definitely recommend the ebook instead of the audiobook. It's not that it's not great, it's just that I think you follow the story in a more fluent way if you read the ebook version. Hi! Thank you! That was very sweet. So that's it. That's all of the books that I read in March. I really hope you liked it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!